Hey guys, how y'all doing? This is the Two Vet Sports Show. This is your boy Christian, and we got Anthony here. We are going to be talking tonight your college football playoff national championship win with Georgia. We're going to be talking tonight your NFL vacancy head coaching positions, and we're going to be talking about the wild card round NFL playoffs. I'm going to hand this mic on over to Anthony Lewis, and make sure before I do that, we want to make sure to say, hey, go check out our socials. Go ahead and invite your friends, your families. Go ahead and push that share button, and then go ahead and press that like button. It's going to be all important to us in our engagement with you guys. We're going to want you to make sure to stay and interactive with us as we comment, and you can do that via the comment section. Please, 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 please voice your opinions and share your thoughts, okay? We want you to do that. I'm going to hand the mic over to Anthony. And how you doing, man?
What's up, bro? Got a lot to dive into here. That was the toughest college football game I think I've ever watched for a lot of reasons. First of all, the over-under in this game I think was 62.5, and Georgia hit that by themselves.
Georgia hit that by 2 points. How was that?
That's tough, man. I mean, so we knew coming into this game that Georgia's defense was tough, but we also knew that TCU's offense was tough. I mean, they're going to have a for sure top 10, maybe top 5 guy in Quentin Johnston, and disappointing showing for Max Duggan, probably his final collegiate game. Man. Threw for 152 yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions. That Georgia defense was just dominant, man.
Yeah, Georgia was taking the ball over left and right, and every single time they got the ball back, they were scoring.
Every time.
It seemed over within the first 5 minutes, and if I was any other college fan watching this game, I felt disappointed. You watched 2 basically national championship games between Ohio State and Georgia, and then also Michigan and TCU. Those 2 games were better than the national championship game, and I think I speak for the local fan. And it was just not entertaining to watch this game. It felt like a blowout. It felt like a high school game that you just watched the best team in the county versus the worst team in the county, and I don't understand how this could have happened. The college football playoff needs to happen better next year, and I definitely am looking forward to that 12-team playoff next year. But we'll digress and digest into the game about 65-7 Georgia win.
Yeah, man. I don't think anybody would convince me really that Georgia is 58 points better than TCU. Georgia is significantly better. Clearly, we saw that Monday night. I think maybe the stage was a little too big for TCU. Max Duggan playing at a smaller school that, this is their first time in the spotlight. This is the first time any Texas team has been represented Texas in the college football playoff. I mean, so big stage. We saw TCU fold against Kansas State and the Big 12 championship. Once again, a title game, season on the line, and TCU couldn't get it done. Granted, they had a better showing in the Big 12 championship, but also Kansas State, not the same caliber of opponent as Georgia.
Hey, look at this right here. We got my boy Derek Coleman popping on the chat here. He's saying what the game should have been was Alabama and Georgia. I don't believe so, man. Alabama showed their stripes this past year. They lost to Tennessee. They lost. Who was it to?
And they had a close one against Texas.
Yeah, they had a close one against Texas. Who else did they lose to this year? It's blanking me right now. I know it was Tennessee.
It wasn't LSU.
Texas. Wasn't. No, yes, it was. It was LSU.
Was it LSU?
Yeah, it was LSU. So they lost to LSU. They lost to Tennessee. They had a close one against Texas. I don't believe they should have been in the college football playoff. TCU, mind you, the schedule wasn't as strong, but they weren't as bad as Alabama. Alabama had strengths, but they just didn't have it all. Alabama wasn't Alabama this year. I just don't believe they were.
Who do you? But we complain, and I've been guilty of complaining as well. It shouldn't have been Georgia and TCU. That's an accurate statement. But the reason I say that is because TCU had no business beating Michigan. TCU had no business beating Michigan. But if you want to blame, you can't really blame the committee because you look at the 4 teams that got in. Who else should have got in? I mean, who do you say, you know what, they deserve to be? I mean, you take 13-1 TCU or 12-1 at the time.
Yep.
And I mean, it wasn't real. Like a lot of times college football is really top heavy, and it wasn't that, in my opinion, this year.
No, it wasn't. I don't think there was any certified number 1 team besides Georgia. Georgia was dominant, and you could tell. Georgia was producing, and the only team I think that actually truly gave them a tiff was Ohio State, and Ohio State was last week. Was the week prior. And when you watched that game, when it came down to the clock on New Year's Eve, and you saw that kick shank left,
man,
you knew that was the game of the year. And then when you come into the national championship and you watch this game, it just didn't seem like it. It just didn't seem like these two teams were meant to be the national championships. It felt like the underrated teams were there just because they got lucky in 2 previous championship rounds.
We're gonna get to see out like teams that are interesting to me. We're gonna get to see it in the coming years, like a Tulane or Utah,
Colorado,
Utah. I mean, like you come into a game, say you're against Georgia, nobody's giving you a shot. Man, I don't know if y'all watched Tulane this year, but them boys can play. And I think, this expanded playoff's going to give some group of 5 schools, some non-power 5 schools, the opportunity to play in that in that playoff atmosphere. And we're going to get to see, how they stack up. But Monday night, Georgia lined their guys up and said, "We are better than you."
Man, did you hear that? Did you hear the Kirby Smart pregame speech?
I did not. No.
Oh man, dude, you missed out. This man dropped, and I don't got a problem with coaches cussing. Like, I mean, me and you come from a different background of just curse words fly. We don't really care. Yeah. It is what it is.
We get cussed out,
and we get pissed out. Like it is what it is, right? But the way that Kirby Smart got these boys motivated for this Monday night national championship all-time game right here. I mean, and it's all-time because it's back-to-back championships for Georgia. Listen, this man cursed out 21 curse words within 58 seconds. And just told these boys they were meant to be there. They were meant to dominate TCU. And that speech alone, I think, motivated this team to go and beat TCU 65-7. And I want to point something out to you. And I want to point something out really quick before we get any further. You called it out. And it was a joking manner. It was a joking manner on your Facebook. You called it out. You called 64-10.
56-10. 56-10.
Yeah. Okay, 56-10. The week prior. Man, I think that is insane how it came out a week later. 65-7.
Man,
I thought at the least when I was watching the game, TCU would maybe get 2 more touchdowns. But they didn't. And
Georgia went up quick. Georgia went up real quick, and I think it was 10-0, or maybe it was 14-0. I don't remember exactly how it played out at the beginning, but TCU went back down the field and scored a touchdown. And it made it like 17-7, 10-7, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And I thought maybe
like 14-7 or something.
I thought maybe we were going to have ourselves a ball game, but dude, Stetson Bennett played like a madman, dude. Like he had everything in the world.
Motivation.
He had everything in the world to prove. And I want to make a point here because I've seen this a lot on social media. People are making fun of, in a joking manner, of course, making fun of Stetson Bennett for being 25, 26. And they're saying, oh, Stetson Bennett bragging about beating a bunch of 18 to 20-year-olds. Let me make something very clear. These are not 18 to 20-year-olds that you see in your local hometown. These are future NFL athletes, 5-star recruits out of high school, grown men. And if you think for 1 second that them being 18 to 20 years old makes any difference, I would love to see you line up across from one of them and see just how talented and athletic that 18-year-old is.
Yep, I do. I have huge questions for Alabama next year. And I know we're getting kind of sidetracked here, but I know my boy Derek's commenting all the way through this. And I really, really, really appreciate that, man. His man's on YouTube right now commenting live.
We appreciate you, man. We really do.
Derek, I really appreciate you. Do please keep commenting. Please share it with your friends. He had it on his parlay tickets. I know this man's a big parlay kind of guy. He always texts me pretty much every week about his parlays and how he missed out. And I look at him, I'm like, hey, man, why do you go against the Panthers so damn much? I know you're a Saints fan, but like he always likes to go against us. He does not believe in us at all. So, but and I'll talk about this. His parlays for the game last night. He is regretting it because he knew to take the 62.5 over, and he did not. And he is beating his butt right now that he did not take that. So I feel for you, Derek. I'm sorry. Maybe next year. I hope there's maybe a little bit closer of a game. Let me make fun with the parlays.
Let me make something very clear to y'all, though. Alabama's not going anywhere.
Oh no, they're not.
Alabama's not going anywhere. That is still one of the top 2 or 3 elite college football programs in the country. Nick Saban, best, second best, third best, depending on who you ask, head coach of all time.
I'm gonna give you my top 4 teams right now, off top of my head, right next year with this college football playoff. I'm gonna give you my top 4 teams, and this is off my head. Georgia, number 1.
Oh yeah, that's
USC, number 2. Number 3, it's going to be Alabama. Number 4, UNC. Let UNC run it back with Drake May.
That's your
top 4 team.
That's your top 4 at the end of the year?
At the end of the year, maybe Texas at 5, but that's my top. I would say that's my top 5 right there.
Okay.
That's what I'm seeing next year, and I'm sticking to it. Like,
man, let me tell you something.
I think that college football playoff next year with 12 teams is going to be insane.
Let me tell you something.
Clemson is not going to be the same thing, Luis. And shout out to my boy Luis right here. He's shouting out right here. We got some engagement going on here, boys. And make sure y'all go ahead and share that link out to your friends and your family while we're at it. But Clemson's not going to be there. If Dabo can't get that offensive coordinator situation going, if he can't stop homegrown guys that's not working for him, it's not going to continue. Clemson's going to go down the drain.
Hey, speaking of Clemson, you know who my sneaky, dangerous team is going to be next year?
Oh, please tell me.
Tennessee. And I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you why.
Oh, give me the 10 I see right here.
The 5th-year senior, Mr. Joe Milton, is coming back.
Is he really?
He's coming back.
All right.
He's coming back. He put up 251 yards, 3 touchdowns, and no interceptions in route to a slashing of Clemson in the Orange Bowl, 31-14. Joe Milton, man, he, tenured guy, spent some time behind Hendon Hooker. I think Tennessee's they were a dangerous team this year. I mean, they're 1 loss away from being in the college football playoff. So, I think if you have a 11-1 Tennessee team as opposed to a 2-loss Tennessee team, I think maybe you're talking about TCU missing the playoff at that point with that loss to Kansas State.
Yeah. I don't know. We're going to see. I think Joe Milton is very iffy to me, but I do believe in him. He's got insane arm strength. I think that game that he played wasn't. He's showing it off, like left and right. He was showing it off, and I think that's going to be one of the big things. And that's it. That's where I think college football is going. Like I think the deep ball is king now. I think the deep ball is king. The ability to get to intermediate and deep ball range is king.
I'm excited about the future of college football, man. I think Texas and Oklahoma moving to the SEC helps their recruiting a lot. Kids want to play in the SEC, man. That's the premier of college football. And so I think, Texas is going to get back to the 2005, 2004, 2005 Rose Bowl champions, 2005 national champions, Vince Young, nasty defense, Jamal Charles. I mean, that's where I see Texas in 2 years. I mean, I think Steve Sarkisian's got them. Finally, we have a head coach that I feel like I'm confident in Steve Sarkisian. I'm confident in his recruiting ability. I'm confident that kids want to play for him. I like that Texas is moving to the SEC. Sark obviously knows how to coach in the SEC. So I'm really excited overall about the future of college football. I think we're headed at some point, maybe in the next decade, towards like maybe 3 or 4 conferences, 3 like big conferences, because you see Texas, Oklahoma making the transition to the SEC. I've heard rumors that USC, Oregon, Utah, those guys want to move to the Big Ten. I've heard those rumors. I think maybe that's where we're headed for the big schools, is like mega conferences. I like it, man. I like it. I like getting everybody involved. I like the 12-team playoff. I wish they would do a D2 style playoff. I like
separate the main schools versus the big schools. Like I don't want to separate them like that, but like, I wouldn't mind for a secondary champion, like national champion and then All-American champion. Something that kind of can give you kind of 2 major championships that teams can strive for.
Yeah, but like, because you don't like, this is not a diss to like Appalachian State.
I would like to see a bigger FCS or FCS championship.
Like I like Appalachian State. I think they're a talented football team, but I don't want to watch Appalachian State play Georgia.
No.
See, and that's what I mean. Like I feel like, but like a Utah, Georgia, that would be fun. I feel like that would
Nebraska, Georgia, Michigan, obviously, Michigan State, maybe. I don't know. I
don't want to see a small
school team versus a big school team.
We saw
where you're going to get out.
We just saw what Georgia did to TCU.
Yeah, and that's what basically it came out of. Like I can tell you right now, from my own personal experience, is when I was in high school. This is back in 2013. I got an offer to go to TCU, and I'm here in North Carolina, but I know it was a small school then, and I know it's still a small school now. So I mean, they've had huge improvements, and I kind of regret I went to the military, but TCU seems like a great school now because they're getting this national media. So I mean, it kind of sucks that I never went that way. But for small schools, like, I understand it. And
yeah, like
it's not a good idea to put them on a national TV. I mean, for exposure, sure, they play, big school TV during the season. But when you put them on a national TV like that, it gets smacked like that. It just kind of a huge reminder.
Well, and like we talked about this the day after the game, I think. Like, in my opinion, everything that Sonny Dykes was doing in TCU, like I think this puts a damper on it. I mean, TCU is clearly not what we thought they were. TCU played not great football against Kansas State, and they lost the Big 12 championship.
No, that is a huge thing that I think led into the college football playoff. The fact that they lost to Kansas State, I don't think it was a humble loss. I think it was a showcase how to beat TCU and the same things that Georgia put in there. And Georgia is just efficient. And the fact that they were efficiently able to do the things that they wanted to do to TCU, take away the ball, and control field position, time of possession. They just did everything that they wanted to do, and they didn't care.
And TCU
just has all the speed. They just couldn't, they couldn't do anything.
And it took TCU playing out of their minds and Michigan having a mediocre game for them to beat Michigan. And I'm not trying to take away that win from TCU. They won. They won that game. But what did I say? What did I say on our first show? I feel like I called it a little bit. Maybe I'll have a different opinion. TCU wouldn't even throw at Keely Ringo.
No, they didn't. They threw 1 for 4?
Quentin Johnston had 1 catch for 4 yards.
Oh my God, that's insane to me. And he's a top 10 pick.
Yeah,
talking about taking him right now.
That's an NFL talent. That's an NFL talent that Keely Ringo absolutely, dude.
Locked down.
You want to talk about the next Sauce Gardner?
Straps, locked them down, didn't do anything. And that's what we talked about. We talked about how in the previous game in Georgia and Ohio State, where you had Marvin Harrison go 6 for 13 for 69 yards. And then against everybody else, when he went against every other cornerback on their team, he went 7 for 8 for 130 and a touchdown. I think he had a touchdown against Keely Ringo, but it was for less yards and half of the percentage of catching the ball. And the fact that he did this, Keely Ringo did this against Quentin Johnson, it kind of I don't want to question Quentin Johnson because I love his athleticism, I love his ability, and I love how he plays football. But it makes me question, like, is he going to be able to go against the Josh Normans of the league?
I do want to say this, though, and this is not to take away from Max Duggan, but having Josh Allen throw you the football is a little different than
it's a fraud of a school. We got a Michigan fan here. This is my boy Rode right here. He's a Michigan fan. He's a Detroit fan. He's salty. He's a salty man. He did not appreciate getting beat 2 weeks ago.
So like this is weird to say because TCU did beat Michigan, but I think Michigan would have lined up and played a better football game against Georgia than TCU did.
I think so too. I think it would have been a better college playoff, and I think Georgia would have been great either way. But I think Ohio State should have won that game. And I think it would have been Ohio State, Michigan if the football gods would have let it, but they didn't. I don't want to talk about officials. We're not going to talk about officials. They were throwing dirty laundry all game.
We're going to call it like we see it, man. TCU beat Michigan. They lined it up. They played a football game. TCU won.
TCU just didn't win by 2-3 points. They won by 10 points, I think, if it wasn't correct. So I don't think it was just dirty laundry flying everywhere. There was some other plays that Michigan just didn't do.
Who's the better football team? Who's the more talented football team? Probably Michigan.
Michigan got outplayed. That's just.
Here's a hot take for you.
Okay, let's go for it.
Who's a better coached football team? Because I personally would take Sonny Dykes.
Oh, I 100% agree with that.
Okay,
I think Jim Harbaugh's head got to him and thought he was just going to walk over TCU.
That's what I love about Georgia. That's what I love. They do not take anybody for granted. And
They
that's
have the weapons though. Look at the last year. Look at the last year at Georgia, right? They had, I don't know what, 7, 8 first and second rounders.
yeah, dude.
Ish.
I mean, no,
and then this year they're gonna have.
They had like 5 defensive guys alone go in the first round.
Mm-hmm. And then this year is going to be 5 to 7 at most. Georgia, 5 to 7 most, I think, or something like that. So, it's going to be close.
Like if Sonny Dykes was coaching Michigan,
Nick is the GOAT. Derek. Oh man, that's funny. It was a nice field goal by Ty.
You know, we really appreciate you guys chiming in here. We really do.
I really do appreciate y'all. These are my buddies right here, so they sure do know how to, get it going. So, yeah.
Just a display of just Georgia's just that, like, this is a fun topic. How do you think that Georgia's taken over as the premier program in college football?
I think they're going for a three-peat.
You think so?
Yeah.
How do they look at quarterback next year? I haven't done any research.
So I saw something today. I don't know his name off the top of my head. It's just I guess I saw a historical thing saying like number 15 getting carried over to the next guy. So I think it was the guy who was in the game this year at the end of the fourth quarter, or at the fourth quarter. I think that's the next quarterback.
When Stetson got his curtain call.
Yeah, Stetson got his curtain call. All the seniors came out. Then they put in the secondaries and juniors and sophomores and freshmen. That's when they put those guys in. I think that's the guy who's taking over. Yeah. Yeah,
Chandler Morris. Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the wrong thing. Carson Beck, sophomore out of Jacksonville, Florida, 6'4", 215. Yeah, man. I would always, if somebody said, "Hey, Georgia's going back to the national championship next year," I'd say, yeah, probably so. I mean, they're to me, they're like the Alabama of 3 or 4 years ago. Like every year, it was like, golly, Alabama's back in the championship.
But that's the thing. So I think this lasts one more year. I think of this kind of like reign with college teams. Because of that 12-team playoff that's going to happen. You're going to get the unexpected. And I think this is something big for the NCAA because they understand they got the viewership, but I feel like they've understood that the dominant powers of football have gotten a little egregious. Alabama kind of made it that way.
Well, when you line two talented football teams up, regardless of, say, Georgia's a little faster than, say, Utah, right? But Utah's a talented football program.
Yes.
Anything can happen. We saw it this year just with the 4-team playoff. Michigan's a faster, bigger, more talented football team than TCU, but they lost. I mean, so to me, that's what makes it fun is you line USC and Georgia up and see what happens.
Now how many more teams are we going to get into the playoff like that? We're going to get UNC. We're going to get maybe Nebraska next year. We're going to get Colorado maybe in there. We're going to get all those other teams in the 12-team playoff that, we kind of sat there and said, man, if Alabama was in there, man, if, who else? Ohio State. I mean, Ohio State was in there.
If you look this year, look at this year, for instance. If you have the 12-team playoff, Kansas State's in. They get an automatic bid because they're a Big 12 champion. They're a Power 5 champion. And Alabama and Tennessee are in. Alabama and Tennessee can both are both capable and talented enough to line it up with Georgia and beat them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I think
to me, it makes it a little more fun.
It's going to be a lot of fun next year. I think the fun just getting there. I think the NIL
I want to answer this question. I like this question.
Yeah, we're going to answer this question next year in a second. But like I said, I think the big things are coming up in the NCAA.
I think Stetson will be on an NFL roster next year, whether that's drafted or if he signed as a free agent. I don't know, but I do think Stetson's on the NFL roster next year.
I think he's a third or fourth rounder. I still believe that. I'm gonna stand to. I think he's a third or fourth rounder. Pull him out of the draft. He will definitely go ahead of Max Duggan now because Max Duggan just proved to everybody else that he's probably a 6th round, 7th round guy.
I don't even know. Like Stetson, I don't even know if Max gets
drafted. I don't know, but Stetson just proved that somebody in the 3rd or 4th round, somebody who maybe needs like a quarterback, maybe like Tampa. Or
I want to see where Mel Kiper has
Stetson at. I don't know. Stetson is not going to be a first rounder. He is not. There's a consensus first rounders, and Stetson is not it. Stetson's
not even in Mel Kiper's top 8.
Big enough. He may have won 2 college football national championships. His talent is not elevating a team. He provides talent to the team.
Stetson Bennett is not in Mel Kiper's top 8 quarterbacks this year.
Oh, no, 100% he's not.
So you have Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, Will Levis, that's your top 3, Anthony Richardson, Hendon Hooker, Bo Nix.
I thought Bo Nix was going back.
Michael Pratt out of Tulane, and Cameron Ward, Washington State.
I've heard a lot about Cameron Ward, but I've heard that Bo Nix is staying at Oregon.
Oh, is he not? Is he not coming out?
I don't think he's coming out because even the dude Michael Penix Jr. is staying at Washington as well.
Dude, Michael Penix Jr. Watch out!
Watch out for him next year. Watch out for him next year. Michael Penix Jr. and Bo Nix next year are going to be some tough quarterbacks to go against next year.
What about Spencer Rattler?
Spencer Rattler is returning. He's going to be a tough quarterback next year. Beamer's going to town.
What's that kid? What's the kid out of USC?
Caleb Williams is going to be a guy.
Caleb Williams
is going to be a guy. There's college football quarterbacks coming out next year that if the teams who just couldn't get it right this year, there's going to be 6, 7 guys. Not a top 4. There's going to be a top 6, top 7 next year. I'm telling you, that is what I believe. It's going to be a top 6, top 7, but there's going to be the top 2 next year is Drake May and Caleb Williams. Williams is the next Patrick Mahomes coming out, and that's what everybody's saying.
Derek, appreciate you commenting. Stetson Bennett's not going in the first round, man.
He is not.
No way.
No, I never said – look, I said he's small. I'm not saying he's not going to go in the first round. There's going to be a team that's going to take him. And we'll get into that. And I promise you it's going to be in the top 10. But the problem is I saw a stat come out today saying he's going to measure out 5'10", 185. You think he's going to survive in the NFL at 5'10", 185? Do you think
see, and when you do that, people point to like Russell Wilson, Drew Brees. We are aware that those guys exist, but they're 2 guys. Look at the majority of NFL quarterbacks. They're 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", 220. Like they're big boys. Josh Allen, Dak Prescott, Tom Brady. Like all these guys are tall because you're throwing behind guys that are 6'6". 350 pounds.
Look at the top three after Bryce Young. You got CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud's what? 6'3", 215,
Big
220,
boy.
right? Okay, right. Okay. Next guy is Will Levis. Will Levis is about 6'3", 6'4", 230, 225. Then you got Anthony Richardson standing at 6'4", 6'5", at 230, 235. You see a trend on why these teams are going to want those guys versus Bryce Young. Bryce Young can do
Young is
all the things
talented.
that you want a quarterback to do, is talented, can do it. But you question when you have a Myles Garrett coming in his damn face. Pause. Not coming in his damn face, but he's causing him. I mean, Kyler Murray gets sacked all the damn time. Like he
like
what did he
Kyler
tell?
Murray hasn't really panned out.
He tore his ACL in a non-football contact injury. I don't know if that's related to from him just getting tore up all year, or if he just stepped wrong on a turf field. But Kyler Murray, it's questionable for him because his play is not that good either. At 5'10", he's still not playing that great. He has magical moments, but he does not play that well, and that's a questionable thing for me going on with Kyler Murray.
Every year going into the draft, like being a Texans fan is so
painful,
stressful.
right?
No, it's so stressful because like the Texans are going to be like, golly, I think Will Levis is a really, really talented quarterback. I'm telling you right now, he is not the pick at 2.
No.
Will Levis is not a number 2 pick. Like, he's a talented quarterback, but he's not like, if I am so stressed about the Texans making Will Levis the first quarterback off the board when CJ Stroud's available. Like, I just know that they're going to mess this draft up. Like, just being a Texans fan, draft season, off season is the most stressful time of the year as a sports fan, because the organization is in shambles. They can't ever get a draft right. They can't ever hire the right head coach. Speaking of head coaches, that's our next topic.
Hop into that. Yeah, we got to hop into that. So that's next.
Yeah, man, we're 38 minutes in. We got to move on. We got two more topics.
We've talked on the college football playoff and everything like that. We've talked about the teams for next year. Don't worry, we'll pop on that next week with our top 25. We still got that to go on, so I'm not too worried about that. But we've kind of popped on just a little bit. But let's go ahead and get into the NFL head coaches. Let's go team by team here. And we'll get your opinion here. We'll start off first. And we're only going to cover the head coaches. We don't want to really get into any of the GM stuff, because GM stuff, there's a lot that plays into that. But when we talk about Carolina, talk about head coaches, that's kind of a bigger thing because we kind of have an idea of what they are. We'll start off first here with Carolina Panthers and their head coaches that they've so far interviewed. I can tell you for sure, as of today, they have interviewed, as of Monday, Jim Caldwell. They interviewed him. They interviewed Frank Wright today, and then they interviewed the interim head coach, Steve Wilkes, yesterday. They have requested to interview Shane Steichen, Mike Kafka, Ben Johnson, and Ken Dorsey. So those are the guys that are so far named and listed, and also Kellen Moore was listed today to get a head coaching opportunity in Carolina.
I think
Jim Harbaugh, I want to put this in really quick. So Jim Harbaugh, there's a report earlier this week about Jim Harbaugh with Carolina, and it came out to be known as like, oh, Tepper reached out to Jim Harbaugh. Well, hold on, pause. That's not what happened. Jim Harbaugh and his team reached out to Carolina, reached out to Mr. Tepper and said, hey, do you want me to be your head coach? I could do it. And pretty much Tepper kind of listened to him and said no. And the main thing of why I know for a fact why he said no is because Jim Harbaugh wants control. Jim Harbaugh wants to be able to control that room, control the roster, do everything he wants to do. That's not happening. That's what happened with Matt Rule, and that's not going to happen again. Tepper's a smart man. Tepper has made his money, and he's a smart man. He is not. He knows how to fix his mistakes, but he also is a stubborn man. So it's contradicting, but he knows if he hires Jim Harbaugh, he's going to do the same thing he did with Matt Rule, and he does not want to.
I think Steve Wilkes is the guy in Carolina.
I 100% agree. There's no reason why not to. And there's a couple names here I want to point out here, right? So 2 names, Jim Caldwell, Frank Wright, 2 former head coaches. What side of the ball do they play? Do you know?
Well, they're both like, it's that, in my opinion, that would be like the Lovie Smith hire in Houston. Like they're just not good hires. They're not like that sexy hire, like guys that have a proven winning culture. You know what I mean? Like I don't like. Okay. Like as soon as you said Jim Caldwell, like why are teams wasting their time? Like the new rule that you have 2 minority coaches. Mm-hmm. D'Amico Ryans, hello. I mean, like why are teams interviewing guys that like why
so
like why thing. Jim Caldwell? Oh, why?
So here's the thing. I think Jim Caldwell put out an interview early in December. This is his last go around. This is his last time. And
last time should have been his last time.
Yeah, his last time should have been his last time, but this is his last name. This is his last time putting his hand in the cookie jar for a head coaching gig. Now, I want to say before we start, bagging on Jim Caldwell, the man is a winner in the NFL. The man had a winning record. The man was Peyton Manning's quarterback coach. He took the Colts to a Super Bowl, and there's a couple of things that he did do with Detroit in regards to getting them to win. He got them 2 playoff games with Detroit, which, Detroit doesn't get the playoff game. So the fact that Jim Caldwell did it, I mean, I wouldn't say he's a QB whisperer, but he can definitely get an offense going. And the only reason why I'm saying this, Steve Wilkes needs an offensive coordinator to go with him. That he needs to get an offense going 100%. Once he gets that job back, and especially he needs somebody who's going to be able to push that offense, get a rookie quarterback, tell them how to figure it out, and push them over the edge. Now, the only other person I think that can do that is Frank Wright. Frank Wright is not a QB whisperer, but he does have a winning percentage in the NFL. He knows how to run an offense. He's been a quarterback in the league. He's a former quarterback of the Carolina Panthers back in 1996. And, I mean, and surprisingly, he was actually around for when Jim Harbaugh was even a quarterback of the Panthers back in 2000. So there's a lot of connections here within this interview process here with Carolina, with former ties or whoever has. There's a lot here. Ken Dorsey, former quarterback coach with Carolina when Cam Newton was here.
Who would be a sexy hire for Carolina for that OC position to go with Steve Wilkes?
Who? Tell me.
Cliff Kingsbury.
Oh, man. I don't know, though. I don't know about that air raid. It's going to take a quarterback that's going to be – I think C.J. Stroud would have worked on that maybe, but I don't know. Anthony Richardson, no. Anthony Richardson's going to need a Jim Caldwell kind of guy or Frank Wright. But
because Cliff Kingsbury's not going to get a head coaching job this year.
No, he's not. I think I saw a report saying he would go to New England. And I think he would replace Matt Patricia as an offensive coordinator. But we'll get into that. We're getting a little off topic here. But out of the list of people here that I listed off for Carolina, who's your top two? And I'm gonna tell you my top two, and you'll hear it in a second. But do you need me to go down the list one more time so you can get a lowdown?
So I'm gonna go with Steve Wilkes is probably the favorite.
Okay.
Of the names that you mentioned, I think this guy's going to be top two on every single team that he interviews with.
Okay.
Ben Johnson.
Oh, 100%. Okay. We're on the same page here. All right, cool. Because that is literally my top two for myself. Dude,
Ben Johnson did. I mean, what like Detroit was a top 5 offense this year.
Detroit. And so here's the thing. Ben Johnson has been a coach in the NFL. He's not just somebody. He's been a coach at every single level on the offensive side of the ball. He has been a wide receiver coach. He's been an offensive line coach. He's been assistant coach. He's been an offensive coordinator. He's been a quarterback coach. He's done everything. He has years of experience, and he is just now shining. He's only 36 years old, and that's the only thing. When we talked about, Jim Caldwell, he's 67 years old. That's why I say he's on his last little stint. Steve Wilkes is 53 years old. Everybody else on that list is under 37, if I do remember correctly. Everybody else is under 37. We ain't taking no Matt, Patricia. Detroit was number 4. Respect us. Oh, man. That's funny.
Let's you want to move on to a new team?
Yeah. So we covered Carolina, so we both agree on the two top candidates for that one right there. Next up, we got your team right here. You ready for this?
Man, this I could talk for an hour on this. I'm gonna try to. I'm gonna do the very best that I can to limit myself, because I think like when Nick Caserio was hired as our general manager, I was excited about it because it felt like we had a general manager who wasn't going to take flack from the ownership, and it just doesn't seem that it's been that way so far. I think the last 2 head coaching hires were absolutely miserable, and you can't mess this up. You can't mess this one up.
I hope not.
There's 3 guys that I would love to see in Houston. D'Amico Ryans.
Hold on. Can we go over the candidates actually have actually?
Yeah.
Okay. So far we have Ejiro Evaro, the actual current. I'm sorry, he's the Broncos defensive coordinator. You got Jonathan Gannon.
I think that's going to be the Broncos' next head coach. But go ahead.
Okay, we'll get to there. We'll get there. Jonathan Gannon, Eagles defensive coordinator. Ben Johnson, Lions offensive coordinator. D'Amico Ryans, 49ers offensive coordinator. And Shane Steichen, Eagles offensive coordinator. And then also as of today, we also got Sean Payton has been requested to interview for the Houston Texans job as well.
All right, so not a big fan of the Sean Payton deal. We've already talked about this. I'm not a big fan of giving up draft capital for a coach. I know what Sean Payton is. I know his pedigree. I know what he brings to the table. Not a fan. I would love to see. Let me clarify. I would love to have Sean Payton in Houston. I would love to have Sean Payton as our head coach.
You want him at that defense. You would want him with your defense.
That being said, I'm not willing to give up draft capital if I'm the Texans for him. Okay. You move on. You can eliminate D'Amico Ryans. I would love to see him in Houston. He's already said he may have a change of heart, but he's already pretty much said he's not interested.
I did see that earlier that he did.
My number two guy would be Ben Johnson, but I am a huge fan of Jonathan Gannon, man. I would love to see Jonathan Gannon in Houston. He's young, he's proven, he's been there, done that as a coordinator. That to me is the sexiest hire that the Texans can make. And I think it's the best hire that they can make at this point.
Here's where I'm going to interject here. I think what you were saying about Sean Payton, I'd be banging my dang table for Sean Payton to be my Houston Texas Houston Texans head coach, because y'all actually do, compared to the rest of the teams out there. Besides, actually, no, you don't. Houston is the team to get Sean Payton. If he doesn't come out of doing broadcasting from the past year, y'all have an extra pick in the first round that Saints are going to want from him. With your defense and your spotlights in defense, Sean Payton will be amazing, right? And then you add in Bryce Young. If you go get Bryce Young at first overall, right? You're not going to give up the first overall pick. That's not going to happen. But you can maybe give up the one that you got from Cleveland, right? You go get Bryce Young or CJ Stroud. I'm telling you, it's Drew Brees 2.0 for Bryce Young.
It's Drew
Brees 2.0 for Bryce Young down in Houston. I'm telling you, you're going to want it. You're going to want it.
So to me, and this doesn't count the Panthers, because I've already pretty much got the Panthers. Like, I'm already pretty certain who their head coach is going to be, and it's not going to change from what it is. They're just going to remove the interim title, pretty much, is what I think is going to happen. I think of the 4 remaining teams, Texans, Broncos, Cardinals, Colts, I think the Texans are the second most desirable location, desirable coaching locations. And the reason I say that is because the Texans have 11 draft picks this year and $45 million in cap space.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that makes the coaching vacancy desirable.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think if the Texans won, the Texans, I think, are going to get their pick. Like, if they want Jonathan Gannon, he's going to be here. If they want Ben Johnson, he's going to be here. If they want Sean Payton, he's going to be here. Because to me, a head coach looks at $45 million, and we got the number 2 and number, I think, 12 pick in the
somewhere
draft.
around there, number 11, number 12. Yeah,
dude, sign me up.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Texans just got off of a miserable.
Y'all just got Eric Stingley at cornerback. Y'all have
Jalen Petrie.
Petrie cornerback as well. Y'all have that kind of dominant cornerback duo. Y'all can maybe save Brandon Cooks. Maybe, I don't know.
It's going to take a good coaching hire.
Nico Collins is going to be a guy. I mean, seems like he's going to be a guy. Your offensive line needs to get a little more shored up. I'm sure they're going to attack free agency and also your mid-round offensive linemen. I'm sure that's what y'all will go. But there's more to Houston than people think that there is. I mean, I think Houston's in it's bad, but there's a lot worse teams.
If the Texans, like, the AFC South, in my opinion, is so bad that if the Texans hit on this draft, like midway through the season next year, we could be saying, like, can the Texans win this? Like, if we hire the right coach and hit on this draft, like midway through the season, we could be like, could the Texans win this thing?
Could the Texans take out Jacksonville in 2-3 years? I mean, that's where it's going. It's going to be either the Jags are taking over the AFC South. I'm just gonna say that for the next 2-3 years, Tennessee had its spotlight. Now they got a quarterback issue. They've got to figure that out. Jags are on the up and up. They're gonna figure it out this year. If they don't get a wild card win next year, they're gonna be hungry for another one next year. Indianapolis seems like it's in shambles. They got a good roster, but they're gonna get the right head coach. And then you've got Houston. Houston's either on the up and up or they're going to stay stagnant for another year. And it's going to depend on what kind of coaching hire it comes down to.
I'm going to go Jonathan Gannon is my favorite.
Yeah. Okay. Jonathan Gannon's going to be the guy.
We're going to have to move through the Broncos, Cardinals, and Colts pretty quick.
Yeah, I do realize we're going to be pushing it over a little bit. So, I mean, I guess an hour 20 is going to be fine if you're okay with that.
Yeah, that's totally fine. Yeah, okay. Man, I think JJ's headed to the booth, man. That's my opinion.
Yeah, JJ's heading to the booth for sure, or he's going to be an analyst on Amazon Prime or something like that. I could see that happening.
Maybe I think JJ wants a break from the football field. Maybe 5 or 6 years from now, I could see JJ coaching.
Yeah, I think no, I don't think he's gonna be coaching. I think he's gonna be an analyst kind of guy. He's gonna want that time with his family. He, as far as I'm seeing from social media or whatever, it seems like he's gonna be a kind of guy who wants to be a dad for a little while. So, and that's respectable. And being a dad's good. So, football isn't everything. So, next up we got Indianapolis Colts. They got.
I think that to me is the least appealing job available.
Yeah, that's the problem. But they've got the most aggressive owner right now that's open. No, I'd say Tepper's pretty aggressive, but the second aggressive owner, Jim Irsay, they're candidates as of right now, and this could be updated. I don't know who else is interviewed so far, but it's going to be Aaron Glenn, Lions defensive coordinator, Ben Johnson, Raheem Morris, Shane Steichen. I think this is a. I don't think they're taking another Eagles offensive coordinator. It's already proven that they didn't really work out the last time with
to me
with Frank Reich. So
to me,
Raheem Morris.
I think Ben Johnson's their guy.
Ben Johnson or Raheem Morris. I see it.
I think Ben Johnson is the Colts Jim Irsay hire. Offensive minded guy.
Carolina does not take Ben Johnson, it's the Colts.
Yeah, I agree.
But is Ben Johnson the same pedigree as Frank Reich when you think about it, like offensive guru?
So we've got some consistency here across all the teams of who they're interviewing. Like there's like 3 or 4 guys that are the same name for each team. And I think of those names, I think Ben Johnson's probably the second best name on the list.
Mm-hmm.
I think the best hire is going to be Jonathan Gannon. I think aside, when I say this, I'm not including Steve Wilkes in these conversations just because, like in my mind, he's already a head coach. So, I think Jonathan Gannon and Ben Johnson are the 2 best available names right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what to do with Indianapolis. Indianapolis is a shit show to me. Their owner is off hinge right now.
No, but that's not to say that Ben Johnson. That's not to say that Ben Johnson wants to go to Indianapolis.
I think there's a couple of teams out here right now that need a head coach. Where the what do you call it? The people who are interviewing are questioning leadership. Like I'd question Denver's leadership. I'd question Indianapolis's leadership. I'd question Houston's leadership. To me, those are the 3 teams I'd question. Like the 2 certainties I would look at maybe is Carolina and Carolina. I wouldn't really question Carolina.
So let's use this to move into the Broncos because
Arizona's questionable too.
So if I'm a head coach interviewing, Ben Johnson, I would love to get my hands on the Broncos. Like I don't think that the Broncos are in bad of a shape as people think they are. Like I think Russell Wilson is going to make some progress next year and get more towards old self. I think he was hindered a lot by coaching this year. And so to me, if I'm Ben Johnson looking at the 5 available available coaching spots, the Broncos are at the top of my list.
Yeah, and we got to get into the Broncos next. So Broncos, they have so far Ajero Avero. I hope I said that right. Avero. They got Raheem Morris, Sean Payton, Dan Quinn, D'Amico Ryans, and Jim Harbaugh. Now, I want to point out something here. There's 2 teams that are paralleled right now. It's Denver and Carolina. you can see what Carolina is looking for, right? As in, they've got their defensive guy that they've got in mind, which is Steve Wilkes. And then they've got 6 other guys on their list that are offensive guys. You're looking at Denver right now, and every single one of those people that I named off right here, between Ijaro, Jim, Raheem, Sean, Dan, and D'Amico, they're all defensive guys. So you see the direction of what the organization is going towards. They see that their defense is an asset, and they see that their offense needs improvement.
So of those names that you just gave me, I would say probably D'Amico Ryans, Jim Harbaugh.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I agree.
I think those
I
are my
would
two
say
guys.
those two. Jim Harbaugh, and especially with 2 teams in general. I think 2 teams are going to be the Jim Harbaugh teams. It's going to be either Denver Broncos or Arizona. Why? Because they don't have GMs.
I'm just not a big fan of Jim Harbaugh in the NFL, dude. I'm just not. Like, I know he won while he was here, but it's like Jim Harbaugh, I get like the sense of like when the going gets tough, he runs.
Mm-hmm.
Like when his seat gets hot, he's out.
Mm-hmm.
And like I think Jim Harbaugh is a good coach, but like I just don't. I'm just not a huge fan. I would go of those names that you gave me. I would say the best hire for the Broncos would be D'Amico Ryans.
Mm-hmm. I think if the Broncos don't go in the direction of the Jim Harbaugh, the Sean Payton route, and here's the thing: Sean Payton doesn't really have any leverage anywhere besides Indianapolis and Houston, where they have a top 4, top 5 pick where the Saints are going to want to let him go. And that's just my opinion. I mean, that's what I think it's going to be a big key factor for those 2 teams. Oh man, I got something in my eye. But those are the things that are going to be to look out for, is where the draft position is if Sean Payton does want to get a job, and it's going to be dependent on where, on those 2. So, on that note, we've covered every single team with their head coaching vacancies. We'll see as the league draws out.
Cardinals.
Ooh, we didn't cover Cardinals. Oof, my bad.
I think this is the most attractive head coaching vacancy
with Kyler Murray,
with just their personnel in general.
So I don't think I have an actual updated list of what Arizona has, because all I see right now is Vance Joseph. I know they have interviewed Jim Harbaugh, and I know they have interviewed Sean Payton, but I don't know who else they've interviewed.
I think this is the spot for Ben Johnson. I like all these teams are going to interview Ben Johnson at some point, and I think this is his spot.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know with Arizona. I think they're gonna. I think if Jim doesn't go to Denver, it's Arizona, and if Sean, I think it's a flip flop between Sean and Jim, between Arizona and Denver. Whoever doesn't go, who is going to the other team, because they have those advantages and they know that it's going to be one of those kind of teams. That's just my opinion, though. But I mean, Ben Johnson's going to get a job. I think Ben Johnson's definitely going to get a job. And it's kind of funny when you look at Detroit fans on Twitter and Instagram and everything like that, Facebook like that. They're all putting out posts to say that Ben Johnson is the problem. Ben Johnson is this. Ben Johnson is the worst possible coach you could ever have, just to make these people think that he is that bad of a coach when he's not. Everybody sees he's the top 2 head coach that's available right now. And That's that's the way it is. Something that other intrigues me, just a little side note, Steve Wilkes has not interviewed for any other head coaching positions. It's Carolina.
With that, we can go. You want to go ahead and move into the wild card round?
Yeah, we can jump into the wild card round. And we're going to be going off of DraftKings here with the over-unders here on their wonderful stuff over here at the Sportsbook. I'll let Anthony get up on here and actually make sure he has his.
I'm looking at. I've got it pulled up. I've got the first game I have listed, Seahawks 49ers, showing San Francisco -10.
Yeah, minus 9.5. Plus 95.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Niners even -10.
Yeah, I think Niners pull it out. I think we said this in agreement, and we're going to be going over kind of some of the same stuff we covered back on Sunday, guys. So bear with us if you've heard our little spiels, but obviously numbers do change over the week. So that's going to be our big thing, but we're just going to get those numbers out and give our predictions for the weekend. We'll come back and revisit and see how we did. So we both agree that the Seahawks are going to be a plus 9.5 team this weekend.
Yeah, and I don't like I think the 49ers cover.
So you think it's going to be 42.5 over or under?
No, I think that the 49ers cover the 9.5 point spread.
Okay, do you think we're going to go over or under 42.5?
Over.
I think it's going to be over. I think the offense on Seahawks is going to still be explosive, but I think it's going to be a big score game. Gino, DK, and Lockett are not going to go silently into the night unless the 49ers lock them down. On next, we got the Los Angeles Chargers and the Jags. This is going to be a close game. They've got the Chargers taking it -2 with Jags +2, and the over-under is 47.5. So I would say about 28 is going to be the number 2 win.
I think we're gonna be under on this, and I'm gonna take the Chargers in this one.
Yeah. I think that first round is going to be tough for the Jags. Chargers, they're going to get done unless the coaching gets in the way. But yeah, I'll take Chargers. And I think it's going to be the under 47.5. Yeah. And that's going to be the games for Saturday. Next up, we got Miami and Buffalo. I think we can both agree that we're going to take Buffalo, right?
So actually, at -13, I would take the Dolphins.
-13?
Yeah, I don't think Buffalo covers the 13 points. I think it's going to be division rivals. I think it's going to be a decent game. I think the Bills do win straight up, but -13, I'm going to take the Dolphins.
At +13. Okay. Do you think it's going to be the over-under?
What is it?
43.5?
Over. Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. I think Josh Allen's going to unlock and do his thing with his scrambling. And I think it's going to be a big issue with the Dolphins. The only thing I'm going to have an issue with is if Buffalo can't figure out their secondary issues. Dolphins are going to have an interesting game. But, I mean, they're questionable going into this game with their quarterbacks. So that's going to be a key factor. Buffalo, there's no reason why they shouldn't pull us out. I mean, obviously they have other exterior motivation as well to pull us out as well. So, yeah. Next up is going to be the Giants and the Vikings, +3, -3. So Giants are +3 in this game. I think I definitely said on Sunday I'm taking the Giants, and I'm still going to stand to that right now. The Giants are going to definitely take the +3.
Yeah, I'm going to take. I'll take the Giants straight up in this one.
What's
the over under on it?
48.
48.
48.
I'm going to go under.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a low scoring game. I don't think it's gonna be that high. I think it's gonna be a replica of the 24-27 game that the Vikings just recently had.
I'm excited for this next one, man. I can't wait to hear the over under on this next game.
Yeah, so we both agree we're gonna take the Giants and then take the under. Okay, got it. The next game is gonna be the Baltimore Ravens and the Bengals.
Game of the week, man. Game of the week
is 8.5. Ravens with a +8.5. Bengals with the win here, and the over under is 40.5. What you got?
40.5. I'm going to say over for sure. I don't think the Bengals cover the 8.5 though.
You don't think they cover the 8.5?
Against the spread, I'm going to take the Ravens straight up. I would take the Bengals.
Here's the thing: Lamar hasn't practiced in 5-6 weeks and still hasn't practiced today. We are Wednesday into the mid of the week. It's very questionable. Tyler Huntley's limited. I think the 8.5 is
yeah. If Lamar doesn't play, then this could be a blowout.
Mm-hmm. Raquan just got paid though, so their new linebacker for the Ravens, he's going to be playing with a new happiness. So I'm curious on how it's going to work against Joe Burrow. They're going to be pretty effective on defense. I think it's still not going to be an easy matchup for the Bengals. Excuse me. For the offensive side of the ball. The Ravens don't have many weapons when they don't have Lamar out there. So if Lamar doesn't play, I'm taking the Bengals easily. But if they do play, I think it's gonna be a 3.5 game.
Well, like you look at the Bengals, man, and like they're probably like this is gonna be maybe not a popular opinion, but I think they win the AFC again. I think like they have the best group of receivers in the NFL, and like Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Like, how do you deal with that?
That's so difficult. I don't know. But I definitely agree with Coleman here. If Jackson does play, it's gonna be a closer game.
Yeah, dude, if Lamar Jackson plays, this is gonna be a shootout, man, and y'all better buckle up because it's gonna be a game.
Yeah, definitely. And we can go into.
Hold on. Before we move on, I'm looking at the ESPN app right now, and no kidding, the Ravens passing leader is Lamar Jackson. Do you know who their rushing leader is?
Lamar Jackson.
It's Lamar Jackson. That is a wild stat to me. I
think the Ravens are on a fringe here because they're questionable, very questionable in general about their franchise because they don't know what to do with Lamar. Do you want to pay him?
Like Lamar Jackson's an X factor, dude. You absolutely pay Lamar Jackson.
Okay, but it seems like the Ravens don't want to pay him. They paid Raquan before they paid Lamar.
And in my opinion, that's the Ravens' loss. That's the Ravens' loss. I mean, dude, like he might not be your traditional like passer, but dude, he's an X factor. Period.
And I hate when people say that Lamar doesn't have the passing ability.
That's
Lamar's
not
got
true.
a cannon. Lamar's
That's
got a
not
cannon,
true.
and he can be super accurate. When he's on, he's on. And I think the issue in Baltimore, and I would be surprised if they don't make it in this playoff, like at least the championship. I give it the championship. If they don't make it to the championship, Greg Roman's out. That offense has become stagnant and non-innovative.
You
Like it's
referring to the
there,
Ravens?
but say again.
Are you referring to the Ravens?
Yeah, I'm referring to the Ravens. Yeah, I think
Dude, they're a first round exit, man. I think the Bengals are too much.
Yeah, I agree. I think
The Bengals are going to be a handful for the Bills or the Chiefs.
Bengals had the edge when they were playing. I think they're going to still have that same edge when they play again. And the last game of the week. Let's get into this one really quick.
Golly, this is
the Monday night game.
I'm so glad. I am so glad that the NFL did everybody a favor of making this a Monday night primetime playoff game so we can watch Mike McCarthy lose his job right afterwards, because the Cowboys are about to get spanked on national television, on ABC, and their favorites. They're minus 2.5 favorites. Tom Brady is about to just silence. You're about to hear, like in the NFL world, you're about to be able to hear a pin drop, because TB12 is going to do what he always does in the playoffs, and he's going to show up, show out, and he's going to eliminate the Dallas Cowboys. Once again, the Cowboys are going to be an early exit from the NFL playoffs, just like we all expect. And Mike McCarthy's going to get fired. Like Jerry Jones just said today that like Mike McCarthy's job was safe. I doubt it. If he gets embarrassed,
you wouldn't post out that his job wasn't safe the 3 days before his wild card playoff game.
That's exactly.
But here's my thing. Sean Payton's available, and we've known all across the league that Jerry Jones has had an affinity for Sean Payton. I'm telling you, and I think I agree with you right now. Mike McCarthy loses on Monday night.
He's done. He's fired.
He's fired Tuesday morning.
Monday night. He's fired Monday night. Jerry Jones don't play that.
No. And I see Sean Payton moving right into that. I think that's what Sean's waiting for. If Cowboys lose, he ain't taking no jobs. The Cowboys are ready to give up a first round pick. And guess what? Their first round pick is going to be a top 20 a top 20 pick. That's what it's going to be. So the Saints are going to be kind of pissed because that's what the pick is going to be, and that's where Sean's going to want to go.
Like, look, here's my problem. If the face of your franchise, your franchise guy threw more picks than games played, like, do you understand that Davis Mills, quarterback of the Houston Texans, played more games than Dak Prescott and threw less interceptions? That should be a problem for Cowboys fans.
Yeah.
That's a problem. Davis Mills is going to be a backup quarterback in this league. And he threw less interceptions in more games than Dak Prescott. Like that should not sit well with Cowboys fans.
This is TB12's game to lose. Like, this is
Tom, dude, I'm telling you right now, like I've watched, I'm 27, guys. So I've watched Tom Brady since I was a little kid. He's not the same in the playoffs. He's not the same guy.
Mm-hmm.
Look, that comment right there at the bottom. What I say in our last show, I will never, ever, ever, ever I will never place a bet against Tom Brady.
No, I'm not placing no bets against Tom Brady. I think it's going to be a very interesting game.
I might not bet at all.
If I have to get my pick, I'm taking the Bucks plus 2.5.
Yep.
And I'm gonna take the under. 100%. I'm taking the under. 45.
Yeah, under for sure. Yeah, the Cowboys offense is inept right now, and the Buccaneers offense isn't that great. I think Tom Brady's going to show up and show out.
Yeah. I think this is one of my things. I don't know. Did they sit everybody against Atlanta?
I don't know. They probably did, just because I don't think they could move up or down. I think at that point they had already clinched the division, and their record was so bad that they couldn't clinch the 3rd seed. I highly doubt Tom Brady played in Week 18. Let's see.
Well, quick shout out right here, really quick. Thomas Bray, how you doing, man? Thank you for tuning into the show. Saw you on Twitter a couple days ago. We really appreciate you for commenting. Please like and share the show. Definitely think this game on Monday night is going to be a high rating game. It's Cowboys. It's Bucks. There's going to be something special. It's going to be very interesting.
Well, that just about does it for us.
Mm-hmm.
We appreciate you guys listening in. We look forward to digesting the NFL playoffs next week. We're going to come back to you guys on our next show. Will be Tuesday. From that point forward, we'll be live Tuesdays and Thursdays. We were a little off this week. We were doing our first show. We wanted to be able to get to our opinions prior to the College Football National Championship, and we wanted to get to you guys before the NFL playoffs started. Next week, we will be on a Tuesday and Thursday schedule as far as our live broadcast goes. And immediately following the shows, they will be uploaded to Apple Podcast, all the podcasting sites, YouTube, Facebook. So please, guys, retweet our episodes. Give us your feedback. We really, really appreciate you guys listening in, giving your opinions, and we appreciate the support, guys.
Yep, definitely everything what Anthony said. Make sure you check it out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon, all that fun stuff right there. And then also make sure to check out the Facebook page at Two Vets Sports Show. And also make sure you subscribe on YouTube and check us out on Twitter. Go ahead and interact with us, engage with us. We want to talk to you on Twitter, definitely for sure, at Two Vets SS. I say that again, it's Two Vets SS. And lastly, go ahead and leave us some questions for the week. We won't be back again until next Tuesday, which will be after all the NFL playoffs. Go ahead and just leave us anything you got, any of the coaching vacancies. We'll see if they get anything filled or any other further interviews. Again, please engage. We'll get back to y'all definitely and see what you all think.
Guys, Tuesday will be the way too early college football top 25. So tune in for that. Appreciate you guys listening. Y'all have a wonderful night.
All right, guys. Have a good one.